Hi, everybody. So today is January 9th. I am pre-filming this video to be posted on January 27th because most of the books that I borrow from the library will be due back before I was originally going to be making this video, so I decided to make it early. This is my December and January wrap-up video. It's more of a work in progress type thing. I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in December and my progress on the books that I'm reading for January. First of all, I wanted to really first talk about some books that are providing some summertime vibes on these cold winter days. The first book that I'm reading right now that has summer vibes to it is called The Summer Country by Lauren Willig. This is a historical fiction book that is set in Barbados, which is really interesting because I don't know a lot about Barbados, so there's a lot of great historical information in this book about the history of Barbados and what it's like to live there. That's the cool part about this book. Other than that, the plot is a little bit hard for me to follow, so I got about halfway through this book before I had to start over again, and now that I started reading it a second time, the plot is a little bit easier for me to follow, and I cannot give this book a rating yet because I am not completely finished with it yet, but if I could give it a rating based to what I have read so far, I would give it probably 3.5 stars. The next book that gives me summer vibes is 28 Summers by Ellen Hildenbrand. Sarah Caroli and Destiny Sidwell talk about Ellen Hildenbrand's books a lot on their YouTube channels, and I've read a few of her books before because I remember when I was working at the Plus Company and my coworker Fran used to leave books for me all the time. She left me a few of her books, and I also remember reading Gone Girl at one point or another. So what I like about this book is that it's set on Nantucket, which is on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and that's a place that I really want to go to. So this gets me in the summertime mindset. It's a romance novel that's set over the course of several years about two friends who meet over the summer in Nantucket when they're younger, and then they fall in love. So this is really good. So far, I am on page 258, and it's about a quarter of the way done. The next book that provides me with summer vibes is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and also Beach Read by Emily Henry. So first I'm going to talk about Happy Place. I just finished this book yesterday or Sunday, and it's about a group of college friends who spend the summers in Maine, which is perfect because Maine is where I live now, and it makes me get excited for what's going to happen this summer with festivals, like the Clam Festival, because they go to a seafood festival, which is kind of similar to a festival that I've been to in the past that I think is in Yarmouth, that I've been to with my friend John Waite and Matt before. So I love the couple in this book. They're really sweet together, and I just find this book so relatable to me because it is a book about a group of friends who are in college in their late 20s, and they spend the summers in Maine at a beach house, and when the group of friends gets ready to sell the beach house later in the book, they're just together reminiscing about the fun times they used to have at the beach house. And this makes me very excited for the summer and going to my beach house in Massachusetts, and also going to the beaches up near where I live in Maine. The next book by Emily Henry I wanted to talk about is Beach Read. I read this book in about 2 days. It's a very quick read. This is about two authors who basically both have writer's block, and they switch off and spend the summer writing, like exchanging genres, and the girl gets the guy genre, and the guy gets the girl genre, and it's really cool. It's like a enemies to lovers type of love story, and I love Gus. He is like one of the sweetest male protagonists ever in a romance book, and I just love him. The next book I wanted to talk about that gives me summer vibes is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid has quickly become one of my new favorite authors, and so has Emily Henry. So this book is in the same series as Daisy Jones and the Six, and Carrie Soto is back, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. The only book I have not read in a series of books yet is Carrie Soto is Back. That's next on my list. But I have also read Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And the cool thing about all of these books being in the same universe as each other is that there are like Easter eggs to different books in different Easter eggs to other characters in different books. Like, for example, the father in this book, Mick Riva, he is one of the guys who dates Evelyn Hugo and who marries Evelyn Hugo in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, he marries Evelyn Hugo before he meets his wife in this book. This book is fun because it's about a family of famous people who live in Malibu, California, and like the father is kind of like an absent father who comes back later in the book. He's like a really famous, popular musician who travels all around the country. And basically this book is about his relationship with his kids and how he rebuilds it. There are 4 kids in this book. The oldest girl is named Nina. And then there are twins named Hud and, what's the other brother's name? Hud and Jay. And then the little sister is named Kit. So I think the best sibling dynamic in this book is between Nina and her sister Kit, because it reminds me of my relationship with my sister, although, like, in the scene that I'm referencing, like, Kit asks Nina for fashion advice and to borrow clothes, and, like, my sister and I never really had the same interest in clothes, so I can't really relate to their sibling dynamic in that way. But I just really love the relationship that Nina has with her sister. It's very sweet. So the next book that I read in December and January is Roof Over Our Heads by Nicole Kronzer. I talked about this book in my top 23 books of 2023 video. Actually, these next 3 books are books that I talked about in my top 23 books of 2023 video. So, just as a quick refresher, this book is set in Minnesota, and it focuses on a family of actors. The mother is the artistic, it has one of the parents of the lesbian couple is the artistic director of the theater company. One of the parents is an actor, and then all of the other kids are actors. So the main character's name is Finn, and his build-up with his relationship with his friend Jade, he like falls in love with his best friend Jade, friends to lovers trope, is very sweet. I love the build-up between the two of them. It's very cute. So this is set in Minnesota, and all of these actors work at a Victorian house where it's like an immersive setting where they dress up in period clothing, and the crux of the plot of this book is that they're trying to raise enough money because they're going to end the people who own the historical house want to sell it, but the family that lives there doesn't want to sell it because then they would not have a house anymore, and then they would also be out of a job because this is the place that employs them. So this book was really good. It's very relatable for me because, as people who watch my blog posts know, I'm an actor. Right now, I'm currently taking a break from doing musical theater, but I'm hoping to get back into it later this spring when I audition for a community production of Mary Poppins at a local theater by my house, and I am very excited for that. The next book that I wanted to talk about is Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me. I read this book in about 3 days. I got it for Christmas. I finished it on December 28th, so pretty close to New Year's Eve. So I grew up listening to all of Britney Spears' music. She was one of my favorite singers. But what's interesting about memoirs like this is you never know what goes on behind the scenes, and she talks about how her father put her in a conservatorship that she just got out of a couple of years ago and how strict he was. And she also talks about the mental breakdown she had in 2008 where she shaved her head. I mean, you just feel so bad for her, and it just proves about how strong of a woman she is to be able to tell her story like this, and it's really powerful. So great job to Britney Spears on such a great memoir. The next memoir I wanted to talk about is, of course, If You Could Have Told Me by John Stamos. So as a 90s kid, I grew up watching Friends. I grew up watching Step by Step, Full House. And John Stamos played my favorite character on Full House. He played Uncle Jesse. And he talks about his experience on Full House in this book, as well as the spin-off series from 2018, Fuller House, and everything that happened in between. Like, he was also on General Hospital. And surprisingly, I never knew this before, he was in Cabaret on Broadway as the MC, and he was in Bye Bye Birdie on Broadway as Albert Peterson. So I thought it was really cool that he has a connection to Broadway because I never knew that before. I knew about General Hospital because I've seen the episodes of General Hospital that he was on. And he was also on Friends in the episode where Monica and Chandler are looking for a sperm donor so they can have a child to adopt. And as a spoiler alert, in the last chapter of this book, John Stamos talks about how Bob Saget died and how he's been processing the grief of losing Bob Saget. And I think this is so relatable to all fans of Full House because we all miss Bob Saget and what a funny guy he was. And I also wanted to mention that it's especially relatable to me with how he talks about dealing with grief, because I've been dealing with similar grief myself, because last year I lost one of my college friends. I dealt with a loss in my family because my uncle lost his mom, and then my best friend lost his mom, and then Matthew Perry died in October. So I I just found the last chapter in this book especially relatable, and sorry for the spoiler. So bravo, John Stamos, on a wonderful memoir. I really loved it. The next Taylor Jenkins Reid book I wanted to talk about, which I literally just finished a few hours ago, is After I Do. So this talks about a couple who is going through a divorce. Like, it flips back to present day it flips back between past and present POVs. In the past, they talk about like the beginning of their marriage and the beginning of their relationship and how they first met. And then in the present day, they talk about like how their marriage is falling apart, how they're going through divorce and everything. And it's actually kind of a sad book. I was kind of sad for the main character, Lauren, because she was really going through a lot of difficult things in here. This book made me think of Friends a little bit, because in a later chapter of the book, when the family is all together at a family dinner, I think it's the main character's older brother who says that he and his girlfriend are pregnant, but they're not married yet. So they're going to be co-parenting their kid while they get married, while they also plan their wedding. And that made me think of Ross and Rachel in the later seasons of Friends after Emma is born, because technically Ross got the marriage annulled from Las Vegas, and then they end up raising Emma together as co-parents, because technically they're not married, and Rachel technically is considered a single mother because her and Ross are not married. So that was the connection to Friends I made to this book. Out of all the Taylor Jenkins Reid books that I have read up to this point, I would say this book was pretty sad. So I would rank it probably 3.5 stars and a B-. And for the other books I've read by her, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, Daisy Jones and the Six. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo gets 4.75 stars and a B. Malibu Rising gets a B+ and 4 stars, and Daisy Jones and the Six gets an A- and 5 stars. The next book that I wanted to talk about today is called The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. So Sarah Caroli talked about this book on her YouTube channel, and it's kind of a I don't know. What genre is this? It doesn't really say. So I don't really know what genre this book is in. I think it's like a thriller, maybe, because so this is about like a divorced couple. The couple in this group gets divorced, and the husband has like a whole secret life and a whole other marriage, and then his mistress gets murdered, and he's accused of murdering her, and his wife ends up being his defense attorney, which is a very interesting twist for a book. I'm not quite done with this book yet. I am only on page 143. The book is 334 pages, so I'm like a quarter of the way through. It is pretty good so far. So yes. And the next book I wanted to talk about, I also talked about in my Disney princess video that I posted a couple of days ago. So this is book 3 in the Lunar Chronicle series by Marissa Meyer. It's called Cress. So what this book series is basically modern day dystopian retellings of Disney fairy tales based in like 2100. So the first book in the series, Cinder, is a modern day retelling of Cinderella. This book is about Rapunzel, but instead of being in a tall tower and she has to let down her hair so people can climb up it, she lives in outer space on a space station, and Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White all have to go to outer space to rescue her. It's actually a pretty neat idea for a book. So this is book 3 in the Lunar Chronicles series. I'm still waiting for book number 4, book number 2 to come in at the library, and book number 4. Book number 2 is called Scarlet, and it's a crossover of Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood. And then the 4th book is about Snow White, and it's called Winter. And then I'm also going to read the novella that's the prequel novel to this book called Ferris, which is the story about the evil queen. So I'm still waiting for a few books to come in at the library, but I just wanted to review most of my TBR because these are the books that I'm either still working to finish or have completed. And whatever books I will be reviewing for next month will be mostly romantic comedies. I am also rereading the Harry Potter series right now. And once I finish the romantic comedy books in the middle part of February, I will be focusing completely on reading Harry Potter because it will take me a while to get through all 7 books. So I will see you guys later. My next video will be out on February 21st or 22nd, where I will be talking about romantic comedy books and also reviewing whichever Harry Potter books I have completed by that point. Have a great day.